Welcome back to the channel where medical topics are made easy. Before we get started, make sure to turn on the captions down below and read along. It'll help improve your learning. This video is part 3 on common medical root words, and it's going to be the final video on it. We already made videos on common medical abbreviations, common medical prefixes, and 2 other common root words. They're going to be linked down below in the description, so make sure to check them out. As we go through the video, hit pause before each table and see if you can figure out the meaning of the root before looking at the answers. The tables are also timestamped down below in the description to help you out. This video is filled with many common root words, so make sure to watch until the end. Just to recap, most medical words have a beginning, middle, and end, called the prefix, root, and suffix. Not every word has a prefix though, so the root may form the first part of the word if that's the case. There may also be more than one root word combined together. Let's take a look at our first group of common root words. Again, hit pause in the video and see how many you can figure out before moving on. The first root is capito, which means head. Capito is commonly used in anatomy. One example is the fovea capitis. The fovea capitis is the small depression in the femoral head where the ligamentum teres of the hip attaches. This makes sense because fovea means small pit or depression, and capitis refers to head, which in this case it's the head of the femur. There's a great video where we simplified the anatomy of the femur, and that'll be linked down below as well. Just a quick reminder that you're going to see that most of the roots in this video are shown as ending in the letter O. This is the combining form of the root. Just be aware that there could be a different vowel other than O that follows the root word. The vowel that follows the root word is known as the combining vowel, and it connects the root to another root or a suffix. Next we have entero, which refers to the intestines. A good example would be enterocolitis. We know from the previous video on root words that colo refers to the colon. We've also mentioned in the past that itis is a suffix that means inflammation. So enterocolitis is inflammation of both the small intestine and colon. The next root is genu, which refers to the knee or knee-like bend. Example medical terms are genu varum and genu valgum, which both refer to angular deformities of the knees. Genu varum is also called bow legs and refers to the outward bowing of the knees. Genu valgum is also called knock knees and refers to the inward angulation of the knees. Moving on to veno, this means vein. It's an easy one to remember because veno and vein sound the same. An example would be venostasis, which is the abnormal slowing or stoppage of the flow of blood in a vein. This makes sense because the suffix stasis means stagnant or a state that does not change, or slowing or stoppage of bodily fluids. Just a reminder from previous videos, there are other roots that refer to blood vessels as well. Arterio means artery, and we have 3 roots meaning blood vessels. They're vasculo, angio, and vaso. The next root is laparo, which refers to the abdomen. A simple trick is to think of your lap, which is close to your abdomen. Remember in the previous root video, we also said abdomino refers to abdomen as well. An example medical term is laparotomy, which is a surgical incision into the abdominal cavity. Next we have fronto, which refers to the forehead or frontal bone or frontal lobe of the brain. It's easy to remember, just use front to think of forehead or frontal bone. Another anatomy example is frontoparietal, which refers to both the frontal and parietal bones or lobes of the brain. Moving on to dorso, this means back. You might remember from the prefix video, we use dorso to mean back, behind, or posterior when talking about positions. Dorso can also be used in anatomy, such as the dorsal column, which refers to the posterior spinal cord. The trick you can use is to think of a dorsal fin on the back of a fish or a whale, and this will help you remember dorso refers to back. Next we have or, which refers to the ear. An example is postauricular, which means located or occurring behind the ear. This is a good example of a medical term that uses a prefix followed by a root. Remember we learned in the prefix video that post can mean back or behind just like dorso can. The next root is digit, which refers to finger or toe. We sometimes use our fingers to count digits or numbers, so this can help you remember digit refers to fingers and toes. You're going to see this root used in anatomy, especially of the hand. For example, the flexor and extensor digitorum muscle groups help to flex and extend the digits and wrist. Finally, we have psych, which refers to the mind. For example, psychology is the study of the human mind and its functions. All of the medical root words in the first 2 videos and up to this point in this video have pertained to body parts. We're now going to wrap up the medical root word series with a few groups of miscellaneous roots you're likely to encounter. First we have acouso, which means auditory or hearing. You can think of acoustic music to help you remember acousto refers to sound or hearing. Next is aero, which refers to air or gas. For example, aerogastria is distension of the stomach by gas. And this makes sense because we learned in the previous medical root word video that gastro refers to the stomach. Moving on to ankylo, this means crooked or bent. It can also mean fused, stiff, fixed, and closed. An example medical term is ankylosing spondylitis. Now this word might seem intimidating at first, but watch how much you've learned from the previous videos and see how easy medical terminology becomes when you can break down the word. We know ankylo means crooked, bent, or stiff. We learned in the past medical root video that spondylo means spine, and we know itis means inflammation from the suffix video. So ankylosing spondylitis must be some kind of inflammation and stiffening of the spine. And that's exactly what it is. Ankylosing spondylitis is a form of spinal arthritis that causes inflammation and fusing of the spine or vertebrae. Next we have auto, which means self or same. A simple general example is autopilot, which is a device that steers a plane, ship, or vehicle by itself. The next root is bacterio, which is a simple one to remember. It means bacteria. You can think of bactericide, which is a substance that kills bacteria. Next we have blasto, which refers to immature or bud, and it might pertain to an immature cell such as a myeloblast, which is an immature white blood cell that forms in the bone marrow. Or another example is blastoma, which is a type of cancer caused by malignancies and precursor immature cells. The next one is brachy, which means short. The example we'll use here is brachycephaly. Do you remember what cephalo means from the first root word video? Cephalo means head, so brachycephaly is a condition in which the shape of the head or skull is short. Moving on to toxi or toxico, they refer to toxin, toxic, or poison. You can think of toxicology, which refers to the study or branch of science concerned with the effect and detection of poisons. Next we have litho, which refers to a stone or calculus. An example is nephrolithiasis, which is a kidney stone. We saw this example in the first root word video when we learned about nephro, which means kidney. So it makes sense that nephrolithiasis means kidney stone. It's also a good example of two root words combined together, and in this case they're nephro and litho. Finally we have lacrimo, which means tear. You can think of the lacrimal gland, which is the gland that secretes tears. Let's move on to the next group of medical root words. Again, hit pause on the video and see how many you can name before continuing. First we have acro, which means extremities. It also means top, peak, or extreme. An example medical term is acromegaly, which is abnormal growth of the hands, feet, and face from overproduction of growth hormone by the pituitary gland. Next is chemo, which means chemical. You can think of chemotherapy, which translates to the treatment of diseases by chemicals. The next root is andro, which refers to male. You can think of androgen, which is a male sex hormone such as testosterone that promotes the development of male characteristics. The opposite of that is estro, which refers to female. You can think of estrogen, which is a female sex hormone that promotes the development of female characteristics. Next we have hydro, which means sweat. An example medical term is hidradenitis, which is inflammation of a sweat gland. And this makes sense because hydro means sweat, adeno means gland, and itis means inflammation. Another simple trick is to think of hydro and water can help you think of sweat. Moving on to kypho, this means a humped appearance. A common example is kyphosis, which refers to excessive outward curvature of the spine, causing a hunched or humped back. Next is myco, which relates to fungus. You can think of mycology, which is the study of fungi, or mycosis, which is a disease caused by an infection with the fungus. The next root word is moringo, which means eardrum. A great example is moringomycosis because we just learned what myco means. So moringomycosis is a fungal infection of the eardrum or tympanic membrane. You might remember from the previous root word video that tympano also refers to the eardrum, which is why the medical term for eardrum is tympanic membrane. Next we have patho, which relates to disease. You can think of pathology, which is the study of disease. Finally, we have scolio, which means twisted or crooked. A common example is scoliosis, which is the sideways curvature of the spine. Remember, kyphosis meant the outward curvature to give a hunched or a humpback appearance. Now this is sideways curvature. Let's wrap it up with one final group of medical roots. How many can you name before looking at the answers? First, we have somato, which relates to the body. A common medical term is somatosensory, which relates to a sensation which can occur anywhere in the body, such as pressure, pain, or temperature. Next, we have splanchno, which means viscera, which are the organs in the cavities of the body, especially the abdomen. You might learn about the splanchnic nerves, which are the nerves that supply the viscera. The next root is gluco, which refers to glucose. An example term is glucometer, which is a device that measures the amount of glucose in the blood. Similar to gluco, glyco relates to sugar. For example, glycolysis is the breakdown of sugar or glucose. Next is thermo, which relates to heat. You can think of a thermometer, which is used to measure temperature. Moving on to thrombo, this refers to the clotting of blood. For example, thrombectomy is a surgery to remove a blood clot or thrombus from a blood vessel. Next we have tono, which means tension or tone. It's easy to remember because tono and tone sound the same. You can refer to seizures as being tonoclonic, which involve both stiffening tension or tone, which is the tono part, as well as jerking, which is the clonic part. The next one is simple too. It's phono, which means sound, speech, or voice. You can think of a phone which sounds like phono to remember sound or voice. An example is phonocardiogram, which is a graphic record of heart sounds. Next is topo, which means place or position. You can think of topography, which is a term used in anatomy. It's the study of anatomy based on position, region, or divisions of the body. Finally, we have varico, which refers to a swollen, dilated, enlarged, or twisted blood or lymph vessel, especially a vein. And that's how varicose veins got their name, which are twisted, enlarged veins most commonly in the legs. Hopefully this helped you better understand medical terminology and roots. If you found the video useful, please hit the like button and leave a comment down below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the next video on suffixes, along with other future medical topics made easy. You can find all of the notes and tables for this video on the website linked down below in the description. Thanks for watching and hope you check out future videos.